Nice. Very nice. Easy. Step. We go. And let's go up. Remember your home now, fair? You step. Yeah. Let's go. Allez. You step. Up. Nice. You go lower. Down. Five. Step shake. Step shake. Side. Lower. Hey. Up. The other side. Remember 3 steps forward. Back. Step check. shoulder, down, up, left, push. Hey, 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 hey. Sukuma, hey. Aya. Aha, one. Nice. Hey. Nice and easy. Let's go. Let's go. Hey. Time. Let's go. Nice. Good job. Ah. Hey, keep pushing. Push. Up, wait, scuba. Up. Let's. Hey. Move the step. Sing for yourself. Hey. Hey. Check yourself. Hey. Push. Back. Again, push. TV, tizi nyumbani guys. Let's stretch. Good. Press. Always remember, after workout, it's always good to stretch so that you don't get some pains in your muscles. At least, good job. Woo. Hope you guys are sweating like me, yeah? Yes, if not, next time try. Good. Let's go. Yes, Kosa. Then swing. Nice, good job. The other side. Nice. Shoulder back. Ooh. Nice. Forward. Up and down. Good. Roll your neck. Don't close your eyes. The other side. Then press. The other one. Good. Down. Then up. Good. Try to find your balance. Nice. Good job. In and twist. Good. Nice one. And out. Good. And the other leg, do the same thing. Hold it back. Pull it. Ooh. In and twist. In. Nice, and out. Nice. Let's go. And the other side. Nice one. So breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Last time, breathe in and out. Thank you so much, guys. See you next time. Until next time, keep it NTV tizi nyumbani. To our medics.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types of pain.
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
When you're facing stubborn stains, you're always in a fierce fight. Clean Soft kicks out stains.
Have you shared your bongo points with someone who needs them? Remember to help a friend or anyone in need to buy food using your bongo points. Stay at home, but still stay together with your loved ones and friends using bongo points. Share your story or video of how you've helped a fellow Kenyan to our FB page NTV Kenya, Twitter page at NTV Kenya, Instagram at NTV Kenya, SMS 20686 or our WhatsApp number 0745 925 002.
here in Korogoya at Eunice Chebi's residence.
Lord, I need you. Oh, I need.
We know malaria or other diseases, yes, but this one, MS.
My feet can't stretch.
As a human, you can ask, where was God when this was happening?
Oh God, how I need.
If Carol will live the way she is forever, it is for His glory. I'll still glorify Him.
My one defense, my righteousness.
This is NTV.
Hello, East Africa. Is your Wednesday the same as your Tuesday and your Monday? Well, we're here to help. Your World is a show that walks you through and stays with you, accompanies you as you adjust to your new normal, sharing ideas, tips, information, and experiences from East Africa and around the world in the time of COVID-19. We welcome your comments, questions, and videos via our hashtag #NewNormal. You can also reach us on SMS, WhatsApp, or by phone. Good morning, I'm Joseph Warungu, and in your world today...
Na kazi ya salon ni kazi huwa inashika kuanzia jioni, kwa vile ndio watu wametoka kibarua wanakuja, lakini sasa hawaji kwa sababu kazi itawapata.
Kama wangeenda wanafagia mji analipwa 50 bob Karen, sasa hao watu wenye wako na pesa wamejifungia quarantine.
Apart from the ravages of health, COVID-19 has also hit where it really hurts, the pocket, and many are left wondering where the next meal will come from.
Borrower taking about 500,000, it means that with this erosion of savings, to be able to recover this rural economy, you may have to find 500,000 for each of them, say 1 million.
Many people have had to turn to their savings to withstand the shocks of the pandemic. This leaves Uganda in a tricky state. Romancing Bella Ciao and their national anthem from the windows to mark Liberation Day.
No, now we're in class, let us sit down.
Not in class, this is a home.
Our strange new normal has turned parents into teachers and homes into schools. How has the COVID-19 pandemic affected your business or work? That's our question of the day. Now, again, our question of the day is, how has COVID-19 affected your work or your business? And that's what we'll be discussing today. Now, before we begin, let's have a quick look at the state of COVID-19 around the world. Let's start with the global numbers. As at this moment, there are 3,138,413 people who have been confirmed positive for COVID-19. 955,824 have recovered, while 217,985 have sadly died. And when we look at the situation in East Africa, starting with Kenya, this is where we're at with Kenya. As of this moment, 374 cases, positive cases confirmed, 124 people have recovered, and so far 14 people have died. That's Kenya. Across the region, we go to Uganda, and the situation there is at 79 positive cases so far. 52 people have recovered. No one is at this moment has been reported to have died from COVID-19. And in Tanzania, we have 299 positive cases, 48 people who've recovered, 10 people who have died. And moving swiftly to our other neighbor, Rwanda, the situation is, as you can see, 212 positive cases, 95 people who've recovered, no one has died. That's the situation as at this moment. Now, I found I could say things with color and shapes that I couldn't say any other way. Things I had no words for. These are the words of a famous artist who expressed her feelings and thoughts and spoke to society through art. Words that ring true for a young man in Mombasa County who's using art to not only sensitize the public, but also appreciate the frontline workers in the global war against the coronavirus. Kevin Mutai has the story.
In the Buxton neighborhood of Mombasa City, the writing is on the wall. These are the pictures to a script written in many Kenyan souls in this time of a global pandemic. From the selfless acts of the stubborn angels gently holding the pulse of a nation and refusing to yield it to a stealthy killer, to the administrative interventions slowing down the spread of the virus and saving lives, this wall-to-wall coverage by paint is the work of Teddy Tunje's hands.
Chora Buxton mwanzo kwa ndoto wetu sana, ndoto yangu sana toka nijue hizi ukuta. Sasa kutokana na hii hali ya janga la corona, nikapata fursa, nikaona ni idea poa nikikam na idea tuchore kuhusu vipi tunaweza peana message kwa jamii na kuelimisha kuhusu janga la corona na athari zake.
This graffiti depicts Kenyans from different walks of life hailing the frontline workers.
Kupitia michoro kama vile tayari ninavyosema, ni kwamba kama huna kitu muhimu kufanya mjini ama mahali kwenye watu kadhaa, ni bora ubaki nyumbani. Yaani tunamaanisha stay home, stay safe.
In the words of popular American novelist Toni Morrison, and I quote, "This is precisely the time when artists go to work. There's no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, no room for fear. We speak, we write, we do language. This is how civilizations heal." End of quote. Tunje is playing his part in healing mankind, and his language is art.
At least pia imeleta umaridadi kwa Buxtoni, kwa sababu tumekaa muda mrefu bila kupakiwa rangi, but sasa tumefurahi sana.
They're also trying to relay a message in support of the frontline health workers who have been instrumental in the fight against the pandemic. That is our healthcare workers, the nurses, the doctors, the clinicians, who have basically put their lives on the line and they have sacrificed to actually save the life of the fellow Mwananchi.
But this is not the only intervention here. Disinfection of buildings and business premises is ongoing. The county government now says that it will partner with this group of artists in decorating the island city with art that promotes the region as a tourism hub. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
The government has opened a small window in the economy by announcing that restaurants can open their doors to customers, but under strict conditions. However, bars will remain shut for now as the country continues to tackle COVID-19. Leila Mohammed reports.
Economy has remained parked on the tarmac, but as things stand as they are this particular moment, the government says now it needs to keep the economy beating, and for this to happen, certain eateries and restaurants will become open for people to come and eat there, as well as ensuring that their safety is a matter of concern. However, places that sell alcohol will now remain closed until government ensures that it has been able to fight COVID-19 completely. But before diners can walk into restaurants to enjoy their meals, the restaurants and eateries must implement strict guidelines laid down by the ministry, including testing all staff members.
Restaurants will operate between 5 and 4 p.m., not later than that, because after that, then it becomes difficult for the people to get home, just for curfew. We also have asked that those restaurants that are going to open for this purpose must limit the number of persons who are going to be in the restaurant. They can be able to keep at least 4 people for 10 square meters. The tables within the dining areas must be spaced at least 1.5 meters apart.
Restaurants offering alcohol are allowed to serve drinks to customers waiting for a meal during the meal or 30 minutes after a meal has ended.
It is not a license to start opening alcohol sale across the country. Alcohol shall only be sold with those having meals in the normal manner in a restaurant. We have not opened bars.
The decision to open up the economy is based on promising trends, with 8 more recoveries for a total of 114. The government believes we are making good strides.
The Kenyan situation will unravel itself because of one single factor, and that is our own self-discipline. If we discipline ourselves, and if we take responsibility at an individual level, then it is quite possible that we can begin to defeat this virus.
It is, however, the rise in community infections in densely populated areas within Nairobi and Mombasa counties that is of concern.
We have got 4 from Mombasa, and you can see now Mombasa is becoming a concern, an area of concern. And we have got the rest of them from Nairobi, and all of them are Kenyans. All of them are Kenyans. Before it used to be people have traveled elsewhere.
The government says that while it is opening up sections of the economy, caution still remains as the awe of its decision-making. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
The government insists that restaurants will only be allowed to operate under strict measures and guidelines. One of them is attaining a certificate of approval confirming adherence to the guidelines. Silas Apollo explains.
The government insists that restaurants and eateries will only be allowed to operate under strict measures and guidelines. One of them is attaining a certificate of approval confirming adherence to the guidelines.
You only commence operations of those premises upon receipt of a permit from the county director, the public health to operate food business during the period of COVID-19 pandemic.
And to get this approval, the restaurants will have to test all their staff members and provide a list of the results to the ministry. Ensure customers sit at least 1.5 meters apart, as well as the dining tables. Any person entering a restaurant or an eatery will have their temperature taken, and those with temperatures above 37 degrees denied entry. To achieve this, the premises will be required to install contact-free thermometers. Hotels, restaurants and eateries will also be required to have sanitizers, as well as install hand-washing bays in designated areas within their premises.
The guidelines are not very punitive. They're only reinforcing the social distancing measures and hygiene measures that have always been advocated by the ministry.
Kuria says self-service in hotels and eateries have been suspended, while no business will be allowed to conduct rapid tests on their staff should they opt for private testing. As for questions of opening the entertainment spots,
we did not open pubs for business. Pubs remain closed until further notice.
Aman says the decision is part of plans by the government to reopen the economy in phases while reducing the spread of the virus.
We need to maintain that fine balance of being able to at least open up part of the economy without having to compromise on the containment measures that have been put in place. Restaurant management must read and understand these guidelines as the reopening is predicated on full compliance to the guidelines.
Silas Apollo, NTV.
Now, I'll be joined this morning by a panel of very experienced people in the areas of finance and business to help us assess the impact of COVID-19 on business and the economy and what happens to life after COVID. My guests are here in the studio. Shiv Arora, Chief Operating Officer of Cyton. He's got wide experience in the financial services sector, including investment banking, global wealth management, asset and fund management. We'll also be joined by Eric Thimba, CEO and co-founder of MOOC Africa, an Nairobi-based tech company building tech solutions for creative entrepreneurs and their customers. And in our newsroom studio, we have Muthoni Gitao, an artist and interior designer who has successfully been leveraging on social media to continue providing her services. All the way from Malawi, we'll be joined by Brian Longwe, CEO of Converge Technology Networks. This is a startup internet service provider in Malawi, and he's got vast experience in the tech and telecom sector. Also via Skype, we will be joined by Abraham Modhogo, who is Managing Director, Miradi Capital. He's got over 20 years of experience in credit, risk, and investment management. As well as from Uganda, Ramadan Gohobi, an economics lecturer at the Makerere University Business School in Uganda, who will also helping us to make sense of what happens in that country. Now, 9 out of every 10 jobs created in Kenya in 2019 were in the informal sector, an indication of the challenges Kenyans continue to face in finding employment, which guarantees them social safety nets. Now, this is particularly worrying given the pervasive job losses which are presently sweeping through the labor market as the economy takes a hit from the COVID-19 pandemic. Our business editor, Julian Amboko, has more.
The surge in the economy in 2019 manifested in the labor market, with a slowdown in the number of jobs created within the formal economy compared to the growth registered in 2018. Additionally, the lion's share of jobs created in the economy were in the informal segment, creating minimal protections for Kenyans by way of social safety net.
Total new jobs generated in the economy were 843,000 in 2019. Employment in the modern sector recorded a growth of 2.4% in 2019 compared to 2.8% in 2018. In the year under review, a total of 61.8 thousand jobs were created in the modern sector.
And with a global pandemic of this magnitude hitting the economy hard, the 2020 numbers could be much lower as companies relieve employees of duty due to shrinking revenues.
Most of the economic activities have so far been slowed down by restrictions resulting from containment and cessation of sections of the population, the nationwide curfew, and stoppage of international passenger travel.
Kenya's economy missed the growth target set by the government in 2019, whereas the National Treasury had projected growth at 6% for the period. The economy only managed 5.4% as revealed by the 2020 Economic Survey, which was launched this morning. A sectoral breakdown of the growth indicates that the economy's momentum took a significant hit from the agriculture, manufacturing, building and construction industries, which witnessed a general slowdown in the 12 months under review.
The agriculture, forestry and fishing sector grew by 3.6% in 2019 compared to 6.0% in 2018. In the manufacturing sector, I hasten to add that the sector slowed down to 3.2% in 2019 compared to a growth of 4.3% in 2018.
With the economy now taking a hit from the coronavirus pandemic, the National Treasury is anticipating as low as just half of the growth registered in 2019 to be reported in 2020. A best-case scenario of growth at 2.5% has been tabled, while the worst-case scenario of 1.8% is also on the table. This spells for the doom for the labor industry. Julian Amboko, NTV.
Okay, let's now look at what COVID-19 has been doing to our business sector, our jobs, our sources of income, etc. And I'll be hearing shortly from my panel. Let me start here in the studio with you, Shiv Arora. To begin with, just briefly, what is Cyton all about for people who may be green to that?
Okay.
Thanks once again for having us. Citon's an alternative investment management firm. We have two key distinct business arms. On one hand, we raise capital from investors in a number of different structures, either through the private markets or the regulated markets, through our regulated affiliate Citon Asset Managers. And then on the other hand, we have a real estate development arm called Citon Real Estate, which develops mid-income housing and developments in Karen as well.
Now, what has been the impact, if any? Have you had to make any changes, any adaptations as a result of COVID-19?
Yes, so definitely COVID-19 has had challenges across the entire business sector and economy in Kenya. We actually started seeing the effects slowly start to trickle in, especially when you look at diaspora numbers all the way from January, when you look at how the global economy was performing, foreign exchange inflows. We started seeing the effects as an economy in January. Where it's really come out and affected some of the sectors that obviously we operate in is in the real estate sector, where we've had to reduce or actually close some sites due to compliance with government's directive on social distancing. You're seeing that the temporary closure of Lands Office is obviously delaying cash flows coming in from sales of real estate units. So that creates a challenging environment. But on the other hand, our investment funds in the regulated areas, such as the Citon Money Market Fund, which investors love because it just gives them access to capital any time while they still earn a high rate of return. I mean, areas such as that are actually booming. So as some areas definitely start to slow down in the economy, you have a lot of, in the business, you have a lot of other bright spots.
Okay. Let me come back for more. Let me turn to you, Abraham Mudogo, from where you're listening. Maybe to begin with, just listening to what the CS was saying yesterday regarding the state of the economy. What does that say about the future of jobs and the security of jobs?
Thank you very much. I think jobs have to be looked at. At the end of the day, human resources are part of production. Now, in the current economy we are in now, we are seeing a situation whereby demand is going down. There's diminished demand. And why is there diminished demand? Because people have less money to spend. Now, when you have less money to spend, it means you cut down your spending to only those things that are essential to you. So when you demand less, then the suppliers can only produce less. So when they produce less, what it means is they have to employ less people. And that's why you're seeing job losses. So to circumvent or to sort out that problem, what we need to find solutions of putting money back in people's pocket. Because it's only then that people go out there and demand more services and goods, and then spur the economy back to production, and then people start getting their jobs back. Okay,
and some question to you, Shiv. How have jobs been impacted in your view, and what can we look forward to?
Jobs are going to take a huge hit across the entire Kenyan economy. When we look at the impact of coronavirus, really, it's going to be with us for the next 12 to 18 months. There's not going to be a situation until a vaccine is developed that things will return to normal as we knew them before. Unfortunately, that means that a lot of jobs will be lost in the economy. Businesses are starting to reinvent themselves, not in a structured manner, but having to take very ad hoc decisions. So you're seeing a lot of working from home. You're seeing laying off of non-essential staff. You've been seeing pay cuts across the board in Kenya, as we've been even witnessing on social media. There's been quite a big impact on the job market because of that. Things will not return to where they used to be before. Businesses are going to start to become more efficient. They're going to think 3 times before they make a hire instead of thinking 1 time before. They're also going to look at what is the most efficient staffing. Does it mean that staff work from home a couple of days? Does it mean they come to the office some days? So the impact on the labor sector is not only going to be with the number of jobs, but also in the method of delivery for staff in businesses.
Okay, Chief, thanks. Now, we meet Modoni, who's with us in the studio. She's a YouTube artist, and even in the face of adversity, her YouTube business has not been adversely affected. Take a look. Okay, good morning, Modoni, and welcome to Your World from our newsroom studio.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, I'm seeing you in shorts and t-shirts covered in paint. Can you tell me what was going on in that little clip?
I was doing over my house. So I was just doing some changes, you know, trying to stay busy and also improve on the home itself.
Now, normally your work as an interior designer involves going to people's houses and helping them to make improvements in their properties. But now COVID has changed all of that.
Yes, I had no option but to adapt because initially I had plans to help some of my friends and I had some clients lined up. But then after the whole quarantine thing happened and I was indoors, I decided to just work on my space instead and just take the time to do that as, you know, because that was going to happen later on, but it had to come up.
Okay, so was this, had you actually planned to go the YouTube way, or were you forced into that direction or prompted in that direction by COVID?
Oh, no, I was already working on YouTube before, but then now it's that I was working on other people's homes, just not my own. So now I was forced to just stick to one space, which was my house, and just show the different ways that you can improve your own home by yourself.
And so how has business been for you in this season?
It has been very fun. I know, like, I feel guilty sometimes when I say that, but it has been fun. I've been enjoying myself and my home looks amazing.
You say you feel guilty making money when others are losing money?
Yeah, okay, not enjoying the process while other people are suffering through it. I think there's some form of guilt that comes with that because it's like there's no room to celebrate, you know. So
okay, so explain this to me. You can't go to clients' houses. You can only showcase what you do from your own house and from you know, shared on YouTube. How do you make money out of that?
So the advantage of YouTube is that they actually have sponsorships and they have ads that run on your videos. So when I post my content, they post ads in between, and if my viewers watch the ads, I end up making money from that. So that's how I've been making money from that end. And also I've been privileged enough to partner with some brands here and there that are offering to, you know, like send me products and things like paint, so I don't have to spend money on that as well. So
now, Modoni, essentially you're a media person. That's your background.
Yes.
What on earth are you doing messing around with paint?
That's a very good question. I think sometimes the things that we just enjoy doing as hobbies can overtake the things that we are professionally trained in. So for me, I think it's sort of merging the two, because if you think about it, YouTube is technically just another form of media. So that, and then merging that with my hobby, which is interior design and crafts and DIYs. So win-win.
Okay, and will you, once this is over, will you cross over into the former world, or are you now happy where you are at the moment in this new space, the digital space, I suppose?
I'll still stay in the digital space, but I think I'll still want to work with my clients as initially planned.
Okay, thank you. stay on the line. We need to hear more from you. Abraham Muthongo, let me come to you and maybe just address. Obviously, Muthoni is one of the few who have been favored by this COVID-19 season, but there are a number of businesses which are struggling. Which sectors, in your view, are not doing too well or have been challenged? Maybe I think the first one is the airline industry.
Yeah, I think it's even easier to count the ones that are doing well. And I think the ones that are doing well basically is the retail food and the pharmacare. Basically anything that keeps you alive, because the human in the COVID environment now has gone on survival mode. So all they want is to see tomorrow. So basically they'll consume food and make sure that they are well. So these other sectors have become non-essential, if you like. So most of the sectors have been affected, apart from what is essential in terms of staying alive, that is the food and the Medicare.
Okay, Shiv, some thoughts on this? Who is doing well, who is not?
A lot of businesses that are not doing well are those in hospitality, hotels, your restaurants that didn't adapt to the takeout model, Uber, given current social distancing, your taxi businesses. There are those that are doing well. I think Muthoni's was a great example. Businesses have to start reinventing themselves. Those that had a very strong online presence, those that were able to be in touch with their customers and their clients through digital means, those who find different innovative ways of showcasing their products out to customers, having a completely digital or mobile experience, whether it's in investments, purchases, buying groceries, having deliveries to your home. Those will definitely continue to do well in this environment, because consumption cannot stop. The economy has to continue and will continue. So it really just depends on how well businesses adapt.
Okay. Now let's cross over the border to Uganda. The banking systems might still be operational in the country, but the rural savings cooperatives have had challenges. Many savers have turned to their savings as a fallback in the face of the pandemic.
The banking system may still be operational, at least during the lockdown, but the pandemic has not spared the very crucial part of the economy, the rural financial system or savings and credit cooperatives.
In terms of percentages, our research, our survey, we found savings in the sample that we got to have dropped for about 40%. Rural, for the rural economy, I think with the right intervention, if we quickly put there the money, they have the working capital, I am very optimistic for the rural economy that they can recover much faster compared to the bigger industries. Yeah. And that's important. Once they recover, then they are able to feed the other industries.
The sector may require about 500 billion Uganda shillings to recover, given its effective demand, according to the Executive Director, Microfinance Support Center, John Peter Mujuni.
The rural economy, I was putting a figure of about an average borrower, 500,000, an average in the rural areas where people borrow for seed, for this. If I look at an average borrower taking about 500,000, it means that with this erosion of savings, to be able to recover this rural economy, you may have to find 500,000 for each of the, say, 1 million people.
Whereas government plans to raise $190 million, about 720 billion shillings, World Bank loan, to help cushion the economy from the impact of COVID-19. Observers suggest that priorities should target the key sectors first.
I think we are likely to suffer, especially delays. We are likely to suffer liquidity challenges, especially resulting from our portfolio within the tourism industry. We are likely to suffer that one, some delay, perhaps of 1 year or so. Yeah, because they may not recover that fast. Yes.
Majority of savers in both urban and rural savings schemes have now turned to their savings as a fallback in the face of the upheaval caused by the coronavirus pandemic, leaving the future uncertain given that all borrowers may soon have to meet their loan obligations with financial institutions. Malcolm Sime, and TV business.
Okay, Ramadan Gobi, let me come to you in Kampala. You're an economist from the University of Makerere University. What is your reading of what's happening in your local economy? What kind of shocks are you experiencing as a result of COVID-19?
Thank you, Joseph. I've been listening in through the program, and I think Uganda is a perfect mirror image of Kenya. We're a small but highly globalized economy, of course, and whatever is happening elsewhere ends up, trickling down here. And on the ground, of course, everything has been on the standstill, has been brought down to almost zero movement of people. And once the people are stopping movement, moving around, definitely you can't expect the economy to work. As a result of that, therefore, everything concerning demand and supply has got a shock due to these disruptions in regional and international, as well as domestic value chains and the supply chains especially. So with the exception of maybe PPEs and sanitizers and all those things related to COVID, because here in Uganda, the government has been mainly putting priority on keeping people healthy as possible, as well as safe. It took very early and decisive actions to enforce quarantine and social distancing, and these have adversely definitely affected the economy. It has those measures have flattened the infection curve, but steepened the macroeconomic recessionary kind of curve. Already we are seeing a number of challenges in as far as items like, things like agriculture, manufacturing, the social sector generally. They are all affected in one way or another. Now,
and are there people who are doing well in the economy there in Uganda in this season?
Yeah, there are a few people who are doing well. The people, for example, those who are supplying the health sector, because we converted our manufacturing now into producing some of the things that we used to import. Like now we are no longer importing sanitizers and all those other related PPEs. The local manufacturing sector has been converted into, even those who are producing alcohol, now they are producing sanitizer. They turned the alcohol kind of chains into sanitizer producing lines, and definitely they have been making some money. Also, those who are selling dry food, they have been making money because the only actually inflationary kind of trends we are seeing, they are in food. Food inflation increased slightly from 1.3% in February to about 2.5% in March, but the overall inflation has been going down because of the reduction in demand. So that shows you that the people in the dry food kind of markets have been making money, although those who are selling fresh food have gotten a very bad beating.
Okay, now let's talk about labor for a moment. With a lot of people stuck at home, productivity is very low. As we saw in that report, a lot of people now having to rely on their own savings in the cooperatives, in the banks, and so on. What happens when you run out of your savings?
Yeah, definitely, that is the challenge. And many Ugandans, they are like Kenyans. I heard that there were surveys indicating 9 out of the 10 people working outside agriculture are in the informal sector. That's also exactly the number in Uganda. Actually, ours is about 9.4, individuals. I don't know that 0.4 person, but it shows you that a very big chunk of Ugandans are employed by the informal sector, and they are people who are kind of hand to mouth. Their savings are very, very low. You have run that story of the circles and other village and rural-based kind of savings systems. They have been wiped out, and there have been even a few rise-ups in a few slums here where people have been complaining that food has delayed and so on. You know, government has been distributing some food and is still distributing, but savings is a very big challenge, and some of the Ugandans were saying, even those who are working in the formal sector, that let the social security give us some of the money which we have been saving under the pension fund, for us to be able to go through the COVID situation.
Now, Ramadan, my final question to you. The Ugandan government just recently extended the lockdown. How soon, in your view as an economist, does the economy have to actually reopen, or else you get into serious trouble?
I think the government is likely next week to kind of relax a bit on the lockdown by allowing a few businesses to reopen. And it is too early for us to see where this is going to go, where the economy is heading, but definitely with the social distancing, you know, requirements which are likely to go on up to around, 8 or so months, we are not anticipating any big change from what we are seeing now. Most of the businesses in Kampala here, they are social kind of business. They need the social interaction. They are bars, they are music takes, they are, restaurants and so on. And these are not likely to be allowed to operate in the foreseeable future. So we are in this for some time, and I think what we need now to realize that this is the new normal, and we must live with it. We must now try to find ways of doing business amidst social distancing.
It is indeed, Ramadan. It's the new normal, which is why this program now suddenly exists. I want to thank you so much for your time, for joining us from Kampala, and stay safe. Abraham Mudogo, let me come to you briefly, because you've spent a lot of time in the finance sector, dealing with credit. That story from Uganda, where people now may have to turn to their SACCO savings, what does that actually mean? People deplete the little that they have left, but there's, what does it mean?
It means in times like this, where you have no source of income, you have to go to your savings. But after that, then what? So
sorry.
The more critical thing is for us to start finding ways of allowing.
Sorry, Abraham, the line is...
can you hear me?
No, the line, the connection is a bit static. Let me come back to you. But first of all, by the beginning of April, Kenya had lost 50% of its flour market share in the Dutch auction due to the effects of the coronavirus. Most of the farms that make Kenya a market leader in the export of fresh cut flours have reduced operations by 70%. This has affected the incomes of nearly 150,000 people employed in the farms. Among those feeling the heat is Kwamboka Matunda, who has worked in the flour industry for 18 years. NTV's Bridget Ngana reports.
Tuliagree kwamba hao wafanyakazi wapewe leave. Second stage ni unpaid leave. The third stage ni hiyo kufanya kazi labda pengine half day for the whole week, for the whole month, alafu wapate mshahara yake nusu at the end of the month.
Sasa ikiendelea hivyo, kama ni mshahara nusu kila wakati, maisha ya Naivasha itakuwa ngumu. Juu landlord anahitaji pesa, watoto wanahitaji kukula, watoto wanahitaji kuoga. Sasa naona itakuwa ngumu sana.
We don't have adequate capacity to airlift the product that has a ready market. But now the constraint the bottleneck is the air freight. So what we'll request the government to do is really to assist us on focusing on that, so that we have cargo capacity, we are able to move this product out.
Shiv, your thoughts on this industry? How long might it take to recover, even when we go back to normal, the flour industry?
I think with coronavirus, really, the fear is the unknown and how restrictions will be lifted. With the horticulture industry, it's extremely dependent on, especially Netherlands, as a hub, which then gets distributed throughout the rest of Europe. How soon restrictions are lifted on consumption in the European countries will ultimately determine how quickly the horticulture industry over here recovers. it's going to be a knock-on effect from consumption picking back up in Europe, who are the main, as you can call it, consumers of our horticulture products, ultimately trickling back down here. The cargo flights could be allowed to leave Kenya, but will they be consumed across Europe, which is really the market for Kenyan flowers? So anything between 3 to 6 months, you're going to start to see a slow and gradual recovery.
And unlike others where you can adopt to, you know, other modes of business, you're invested a lot into this kind of farming, then it's not so easy to turn it around into something else.
It's very difficult to adapt because the adaptation would be for that volume to come back out into your local market, but the local market can't consume that amount as well. You'll see a huge reduction in prices, which then at that point makes it unsustainable for farmers. So there has to be a cut across the board. A lot of difficult decisions have to be made. It's the unfortunate scenario of where we live, but there's no silver bullet towards fixing it.
Okay. Muthoni, if you, let me come to you briefly. Again, just to, you are not doing not too badly at the moment. Are there people who are turning to you possibly with the potential orders for the future, post-COVID, that is?
Yes, I've been lucky enough to actually receive a lot of emails and questions of people who are interested in working with me post-COVID. So at least my future is also still looking sort of bright, so that's exciting.
And so, but this will be the time to do that kind of work, because you know, people are in their houses, but unfortunately you can't move to them.
Yes, I think a lot of people are scared and worried because I don't know, even me I'm worried because you don't know where I've been, what I've picked up along the way. You might not know because not everyone is exhibiting the symptoms like, you know, upfront. So, and there's also a lot of people who have like young children in their house. So I would also be a bit skeptical allowing someone to come into my house. And at the same time, sometimes I do use other people to come help me. Like I pay people to help me with the painting, especially if it's a large project. I don't work alone. So it's not necessarily going to just be Muthoni coming into your house. It would probably be Muthoni plus 3 or 2 other people. So I understand why people would be a bit hesitant about that.
Now, we've seen that things have gone pretty well for you, but has it been that smooth or have there been challenges along the way?
So the only challenges are just the, you know, putting things on hold, but things have been going very well. Like my views have gone up by 150%. So I would say that's very good.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. I don't know, Mr. Abraham, if you're back with me and you can hear me well, we'll come back onto you. Now, let's talk about Ashif for a moment in terms of the space for innovation in the climate that we're in. What opportunities does this present, the COVID-19?
Businesses have to adapt, and I believe that's at the forefront of innovation. How do you, if you look at businesses that were in manufacturing previously, even for, say, T-shirts, garments, they're now manufacturing masks. So they're innovating in their own little way. Those who are in the manufacturing industry helping to create respirators, personal protective equipment. You're seeing a lot of manufacturing businesses turning into sanitizers. It's looking at your business holistically and then saying, what product can I move today that actually I can't push at all? And then how can I really change my business model? Innovation doesn't even necessarily have to be in terms of developing new products or putting in place new business lines. If you're sitting on old stock, can you get out onto social media to push that stock? Because there's got to be someone who needs that good or service that you want to consume. If you're in the electronics business, if you have older models, can you come out with different offers to attract customers? So innovation is, people like to use the word innovation thinking that it's this whole big idea, but really it's just making small changes in your business to adapt to the current business model.
Now, what about in the investment world and in the banking world? Are they holding on tightly onto their money, or are they investing? And if they're investing, in what kind of business, or what kind of areas in this season?
So investment has to continue, especially from an investment management perspective. You're responsible with clients' funds. I'll give you an example of the Site and Money Market Fund. We've seen tremendous growth in that product because you can invest and then withdraw instantly to your M-Pesa as and when you need it. So people are finding spare cash to put away. If you're looking at equity funds in Kenya, pension funds in Kenya, they're taking advantage of the dip in equities prices, which was really sparked by foreign investor sell-off, to be able to buy stocks at extremely attractive valuations, fully well knowing that they're going to recover in the future once coronavirus goes. So if you have a long-term view on investment, you're going to do extremely, extremely well in this market.
In other words, anyone who had some spare cash, this would be a good time for for investment.
Yeah, and also just realigning your portfolios,
Yeah.
seeing what do I need for sustenance over the next 3 to 6 months, fully well knowing that it's going to be a challenging environment, and what can I put away? The banking sector is being innovative as well. We're starting to see transaction costs come down, though by the time lending is actually done out to an individual, it will take a little bit of time, but we hope that will now pick up as well.
Okay, thanks. Now, here's how COVID-19 has affected the jobs and businesses of some people in Kisii County.
Imetuadhiri sana haswa sisi wanabiashara, maana wateja wetu wamekuwa wachache, movement ya watu imekuwa kidogo, na tunaona ya kwamba ni vizuri serikali inavyofanya. Hata ingawa tutaumia kidogo, ni vizuri tujikaze kama wananchi. Hata ingawa tutaumia, tuumie kwa muda kidogo. Na pia ningependa kusema ya kwamba ni vizuri serikali kama ingeweza kukaza kamba kidogo ili tusiumie sana kwa muda mrefu.
70% of the young people, they don't have any means. So they normally walk from house to house to ask for labor work, which means kama wangeenda wanafagia muji analipwa 50 bob Karen. Sasa hao watu wenye wako na pesa wamejifungia quarantine, which means huyu mwenye anaenda kuna curfew, so akirudi mahali anaenda kukura kama ni daraja chakura hana. So the people who are service providers, I mean the low class, people who earn less than $1 a day, they have nothing to eat. So what I could say is that serikali iluko na way inaweza hata wapea unga ama iende kwa supermarket reduce unga from 140 ikuje hata 50.
Unapoona kazi ya salon ni kazi huwa inashika kuanzia jioni, kwa vile ndio watu wametoka kibarua wanakuja, lakini sasa hawaji kwa sababu curfew itawapata. Kwa kweli imekuwa changamoto kubwa sana, na lazima unajua ukihudumia customer uvae mask, na wengine wanakuja na hana mask. Sasa inakuwa ni shida kumfanyia service, inakuwa kazi ngumu, so inabidi amerudi. Na saa imetukalia challenge na kukeep distance, na hii kazi yetu vile mjuavyo lazima ukaripiane na customer. Tunaomba rais wetu ajaribu sana kusaidia kama youth. Sai maisha imekuwa ngumu.
Okay, maisha ni magumu kweli Kisii and in other places. But now I am joined, let's go all the way to Malawi. Brian Longwe, good morning and welcome to Your World.
Good morning, Joseph. Thank you for having me.
Okay, now you're a Kenyan out there in Malawi. What are you doing there?
Yes, well, I'm here running a startup ISP, internet service provider. We provide broadband internet to residences and small businesses. Initially in Lilongwe, we're hoping to scale up to the rest of the country.
Okay, now I believe you're one of the lucky few in terms of the IT telecom sector who are still maybe making an income through COVID-19 season.
Yeah, business has never been better. It's actually, I think, our best. The surge in demand for connectivity has just been incredible.
Tell me a little bit more. What's leading to this demand?
So, of course, just like any other country anywhere else in the world, Malawi has imposed social distancing guidelines. Many organizations have demanded that their staff work from home, schools have closed, and students are at home. Now that the school term reopened last week, you find that all of a sudden, many families are realizing, oops, we need to have good internet connectivity because now the schools are online. Many organizations are adopting online mechanisms to get their workers to be productive. So this is what is driving the demand. And so, it's just going through the roof, literally.
How are you able to cope with the demand?
We as a company have been overwhelmed. We just can't keep up. So, I think it's affecting the entire sector. There's not that much competition in the telecommunication sector in Malawi, and everybody's really just fighting to keep up with the demand.
Okay, Brian, thank you. Just stay on the line while I cross over to Eric Thimba. Good morning, Eric, and welcome to Your World.
Good morning.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your business for those who may not be familiar with MOOC.
MOOC is a Nairobi-based tech company. We are most famously known for events ticketing, online events ticketing. So yeah, that's our business. We're in the tech space.
Yes, and I have had the privilege of using your services quite a few times now. Is business good for you now?
Oh, absolutely not. As you know that when the first thing that was immediately affected, I still remember on March 13th was events and gatherings being cancelled, which was a significant portion of our revenue and business. So obviously, when you take a huge chunk of the business, then it affects us negatively. But the positive side is the fact that we have built a pretty robust tech infrastructure, and so being able to pivot within the tech space is something that we are able to easily do.
So when events were hit, people can't go to the cinemas. Where have you focused your attention more of?
So currently what we've been focused on a lot is the other parts of our business. So one of the other things that we have been working on for the past 3 years actually is we have our own independent payment gateway that we built for the ticketing system. And so, we had been piloting offering it as a standalone service. And, once this thing hit, the popularity for that went up. And so right now we are processing payments for a number of churches, a number of small businesses who have now, obviously, simply because of what's happening right now, have, all businesses have been forced to go online. Both businesses and even churches, pretty much anyone who has an outward facing or like the churches, they've all been affected. So we are now offering our payment solution to them. On top of that, we had also begun to allow people to sell music on our platform. So that has really, really shot up as well in terms of the usage of that. And also we are pivoting our business. We right now just introduced a new feature on our platform last week Friday, which we're testing out right now, which will allow people to be able to sell tickets to a live stream. So basically, it will allow entertainers to be able to monetize their talent, because as you see, a number of them are going online to be able to put together concerts and to entertain their fans, but they're not able to monetize it in the same way that they would if they were throwing a physical event where they sell tickets. So,
with the you seem to have been ready for COVID-19, I must say. Did you know it was coming?
Oh, absolutely not. I think we were ready in the sense that, for the past 5 years, we have been talking about, and I've been, pitching and telling businesses for the past 5 years about, that the next wave is coming. And it's interesting because I always described it as, as an avalanche of where if you are not preparing yourself to go online as a business, that the time is coming when the wave will hit. And I refer to it as the tsunami. To be quite honest, I never figured that it would look like this. But I've talked about this, and we've talked about this for the last 5 years, and it just the moment has come. Now, the fortunate thing for us is that, we've made so many investments in tech over the past few years. And, the exciting thing about tech is that it allows us not only to be able to provide a solution within Kenya, but it allows us to be able to present solutions that can be used globally. So I'm quite excited about the prospects ahead.
Okay, Eric, stay on the line. So clearly two happy faces, Eric and Brian there. I'll be coming back to look for the tears. But first of all, let's take a short break. And let's look at what you've been saying, first of all. Hashtag new normal. These are some of your comments. It's bad. And I'm really worried. Rent is stressing me out. God, every day is a battle just to keep my head above the water. This is how you've been coping with COVID-19, with job losses and so on. My bar and restaurant closed down. This is Paul Asewe. Car hire business stopped due to lockdown. Okay, that's from Asewe. Thank you very much for your feedback. Gitao, well, it's put a serious damper on in my startup. All the preparations I've made were pre-COVID. All the planning, the budget, the financing, with everyone scrambling post-COVID, the prices will be unpredictable. Long story short, unless a miracle happens, it might just remain a far-off dream. Okay, we feel your pain, Gitao. Another comment here from, this is Hillary Bet. Kazi ya mjengo imekuwa ngumu kupatikana. People I used to work with are complaining of low returns from businesses, but we shall overcome. I like your positive attitude, Hillary. Sante sana. Another comment from Renson Modomi. 100% this being the second month my landlord, whose business premises I occupy, has been calling now and then demanding his dues. How does the government expect us to settle our bills? A very good question, Modomi. Another comment here from Ruth Mugi, who says, oh God, where do we start responding to this question? Aki, things are bad. Yani, may God have mercy on us. Thank you so much, Ruth, for that. And this is James Odhiambo. Very bad indeed. What I had planned for this year, down the drain. Very disappointing. For now, nothing. We don't know when. It's disgusting. Well, feel the pain, James Odhiambo. Another comment. This is from Atken Otieno. Can't even make $1 a day. My event business is shuttered down to 1,000 pieces. Share your pain. That is really tough on you, I imagine, Otieno. Kiplangat Coach General, not even affecting it. It has ruined it completely. That's how bad COVID-19 has been on business. Well, we'll be back to ask our panel to respond to some of those comments where everybody seems to feel things are really crashing down on them. Stay tuned.
Have you shared your bongo points with someone who needs them? Remember to help a friend or anyone in need to buy food using your bongo points. Stay at home, but still stay together with your loved ones and friends using bongo points. Share your story or video of how you've helped a fellow Kenyan to our FB page NTV Kenya, Twitter page at NTV Kenya, Instagram at NTV Kenya, SMS 20686 or our WhatsApp number 0745 925 002.
We're here in Korogoya at Eunice Chebi's residence.
Lord, I need you. Oh, I need.
We know malaria or other diseases, yes, but this one, MS.
My feet can't stretch.
As a human, you can ask, where was God when this was happening?
Oh God, how I need.
If Carol will live the way she is forever, it is for His glory. I'll still glorify Him.
I want defense, my righteousness.
Entertain your callers with your favorite tune when they call you. To get Yeah by Josh Extra, dial star 811 star 930 hash. To get Nakupenda by Mwenye Haki, dial star 811 star 937 hash. To get Bow by Kasim Ganga, dial star 811 star 926 hash. Skiza na Nation.
Hi, my name is Victor Nyama. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish all my fellow Kenyans peace and safety during this difficult time as we fight the coronavirus pandemic. Please follow the instructions given by the Ministry of Health as we fight this pandemic. Wash your hands thoroughly with running water and soap, or use sanitizers where necessary. Keep your environment clean. Stay at home, avoid unnecessary movement. Take the necessary precautions to keep yourself and the family safe. To my fellow athletes, please train in isolation and take the necessary precautions. We shall overcome this pandemic. May God bless you all, and God bless Kenya.
Kenya's economy is in uncharted waters. A healthcare emergency has become an unprecedented economic crisis, characterized by job losses, pay cuts, company closures, the near collapse of the SME and informal sectors, disrupted supply chains, and deserted markets as consumers stay away in fear of possible infection. Revenues are depressed, and overall, the economy is taking a massive hit. Various measures, including a raft of tax cuts, increased cash transfers, and loan repayment holidays, have been introduced with the aim of mitigating some of these challenges. What do these measures mean to Kenyans? And what more can or needs to be done to further alleviate their suffering? On Thursday, 30th April 2020, the Nation Media Group will hold a live virtual Nation Leadership Forum starting 7:30 p.m. on NTV. We will be unpacking the economic challenges COVID-19 presents, the various measures introduced to deal with these challenges, and what needs to be done to lead Kenya on to economic recovery.
Nation Leadership Forum. Engaging society, impacting the nation.
Okay, work, it's all turned upside down. Your new normal is something completely different from what you had just maybe 2 months ago. Eric, I want to come back to you briefly. Just before the break, there were all these comments which have come in onto our hashtag new normal from people who are really struggling. Businesses have been, turned upside down and so on. I wonder, you've built a business or businesses from scratch and have to adapt and readapt. What advice would you have for people whose world has turned upside down with no incomes? What would be your tips?
Joseph, I wish, I think one of the things that's interesting is to recognize that, there's two ways to look at it. You can look at it as a setback or as an opportunity. When I think back to even like the 1300s, I remember reading about this, about the bubonic plague in Europe, which was devastating, but was also the time when that ushered in the Renaissance, and which was probably the most innovative time in Europe. And I think now it's I think we've spent. I know myself, I've spent the last month or so, just mourning in mourning and grief of losing what was. But I think now it's time to be able to just pick up the pieces and take every one day at a time, and just begin to pivot and see how you can spot opportunities moving forward. If you are able to get this far, in whatever it is that you are doing, and to be able to, like any business, you're going to face challenges, and this is just another challenge that has come to test us. And I would encourage anyone who's right now in that situation to be able to just sit back and evaluate what it is that you can do, and begin to do just what you've done, just as you've done before. Make one step at a time towards being able to achieve the next.
Okay, Eric, stay with us. Let me now cross over to Maina, who is a trader. Maina, good morning. Halo, Maina, habari yako? Unanisikia?
Mzuri sana, nakusikia.
Sasa hivi uko wapi?
Niko huku Githurai ndani.
Unafanya kazi aina gani?
Nafanya kazi ya green grocer huko kwa kipanda yangu.
Na biashara ikoje?
Biashara iko chini sana. Wakati quarantine iliingia, hii historia ya saa kuingia saa moja.
Kwa hivyo unauza vitu kama mboga?
Nauza mboga, nauza nyanya, nauza kitunguu, nauza mandizi.
Hai, kabla ugonjwa huo hujafika hapa Kenya, niambie biashara ulikuwa unapata pengine pia kiasi gani cha pesa kwa siku?
Wakati hii ugonjwa iko imeingia, nilikuwa napata pesa mingi sana kuliko wakati huu.
Kama ngapi?
Nilikuwa napata kwa siku, nilikuwa napata kama 8,000, 10,000.
Sasa na sasa hivi ulikuwa 8,000, 10,000 kabla ugonjwa, na sasa hivi nyumbani unapeleka pesa ngapi?
Sasa inapeleka 4,000, 5,000.
Kwa hivyo ni kama pesa zimepungua kwa nusu. Pesa zako zimepungua kufikia nusu ukilinganisha na zamani.
Imepungua sana.
Na sasa biashara ni nini mbaya? Ni watu hawakuji kununua au ni curfew? Ni nini tatizo hasa?
Watu wamepungua juu, wengine customer wengine walipelekanga watoto hocha nyumbani. Saa hii hata kazi hakuna, vitu nyingi hata ukinunua saa hii vingine tunatupa. Hata githeri tunaekelea, vingine tunamwaga.
Na sasa utafanyaje? Ndio biashara kidogo, naona mambo ni magumu. Utafanyaje?
Sasa itabidi sasa hii story sasa venye itaendelea sasa tutaona sasa tutaenda kufunga sasa.
Na ukifunga pesa utatoa wapi?
Sasa tukifunga sasa hiyo sasa si venye kutakuwa sasa tutakuwa kwa shida.
Ulikuwa huna biashara nyingine ambayo ungeweza kuianza sasa hivi?
Sasa maybe sasa nitakutana na mikazi ya mijengo, na mijengo nayo ndio hiyo haipatikani.
Kwa hivyo hali ni ngumu?
Hali ni ngumu hii baba.
Sasa kwa hivyo maombi yako Maina ni yapi?
Mimi maombi yangu tu naomba tu hii quarantine hii ishe, na hii ugonjwa tuondokee ndio maisha irudi vile vile.
Haya, Maina, tunashukuru sana kwa kuongea nasi kutokea Kasarani, Nairobi. Tunasema asante sana kwa kuwa nasi leo.
Haya, asante.
Tukutakie mema.
Pia nini?
Haya, asante. Shiv, that's a reality from an ordinary Kenyan, not even a multi-million business person, but just someone who this situation. I mean, everybody hopes it's going to go away soon, but we're in this for quite a while.
Until a vaccine is found, let's not be in any sort of alternate reality. We are with coronavirus for the next 12 to 18 months until clinical testing is done, it's approved, we have a vaccine. Like we mentioned before, this is going to be the new normal. You're going to have very strict hygiene. Obviously, the hope is that the hygiene continues post-coronavirus as well. Social distancing. Also what government is doing in terms of their measures, it's important in the current environment. If they lifted this curfew and open bars, we're generally indisciplined as a society. We'd be out there partying.
We have been partying even when it's,
Exactly. So we've done so much already good as an economy in terms of flattening the curve. From a government side, I mean, if you look at 300 cases compared to an economy that's supposed to be a beacon of hope like the United States, with almost a third of all the cases across the world, it's now important that it's difficult, but we have to see it out.
So for all these people who have been sent in their comments, who had, invested in a particular line of business, were doing well, or certainly were happy with what they were doing, and now your world is shattered. This is an opportunity now to reevaluate ourselves?
It's a time to make extremely difficult decisions. There's no magic or consoling word that you can give someone. Everyone's business, personal life has been shattered in one way or another. But look at the opportunity, spending more time at home with your family, being able to reevaluate your skill set. Can you learn something online that maybe you didn't have a skill set for before that will benefit you in the future? You have to look at a complete lifestyle audit. What is it that I was spending on that I don't need to spend on over the next 12 to 18 months? What can I live with as bare necessities? It's going to be painful, but it has to be done up until the point things are completely back to normal, which is only when a vaccine will be found.
And so things like people who, for example, who needed offices or office premises, and now you're working from home, this too is something that we may have to look at again.
Yeah, so we're definitely seeing that as sight, and we're going to see a reimagining of schools, workplaces, transport. Do you need your kids to go to school every day? Can they do 2 days of Zoom classes from home? You'll start to see parents get more involved with their children's education. When it comes to the office space, there could be a complete reimagination of what is a traditional office space rather than going to, hey, that's my particular desk. You can start to work from home. Working from home, especially in Kenya before, was like a preserve of executive management.
For the bosses.
Yeah, but these days you log in with your analysts and your assistants and everyone's on the same Zoom call. So why can't we all just find different ways of working from home? It means that you become more efficient in your costs as well. You have offices that are now hot desks, where when you're in the office, you can sit on any one of the desks because it's really just for people to come in as and when they really need to. So there's going to be quite a bit of reinvention and reimagining, I would think.
Okay, now, Brian, let me come to you. In Malawi, you were telling us that your business has picked up. You have a lot of demand. What about your workers? I mean, yours is a specialized industry. Where are you getting people to work in your company?
Yeah, so the significant portion of our workforce is technical in nature. So we have engineers that we need to be able to go on site and do installations. And a typical installation will consist of an outdoor setup and an indoor setup. We've experienced a sort of 50% drop or in our workforce.
Hello.
As we startup, we try to keep our costs low, and we've been using interns to sort of shore up our numbers. And most of the parents of these young college students and graduates have now said, hey guys, stay home. So overnight we lost about 50% of our team. So that has been a bit of a negative impact. Obviously, parents want to protect their children. We also do want the same. So it is a challenge that we have to find a way around.
Now, and you also have to keep safe. Your work involves going into people's homes to do installations. Have you had to make any changes?
Yes, of course. The use of PPE gear is quintessential. We've also had to minimize the amount of time we spend inside a person's or a building or a residence. Try to do most of the configuration work and the setup work outdoors, and then just go in only just for the physical connections and the wiring. So yes, we've taken steps to try to sort of minimize the contact with environments that we're not aware of, because we don't know what's been going on in this house. Somebody has just told us, come and install. You don't know how much they've been respecting social distancing guidelines. We don't know whether anybody in the household is infected. So yeah, there is a risk element that comes with this.
Okay, Brian, stay on the line from Malawi. Let me come to you, Eric. Have you had to make any adjustments in your business, in the way you work, your approach to clients and so on?
Oh yeah, absolutely. First of all, interesting enough is that for the past year, we had been experimenting with our developers to work remotely. Simply because I thought I was trying to find ways to be able to increase productivity. So in that sense, I guess we were somewhat prepared for this. But yeah, like I mentioned previously, you know, we've had to make quite a number of changes to our system. We've had to also be able to, you know, lay off some non-essential staff, and you know, really just gear ourselves up for this new reality of fully being a business that both not only operates online, but also in a sense functions online in terms of our internal team, which obviously means that a lot of our costs will go down around, you know, office space and a lot of kind of different auxiliary services, but we've definitely had to adjust quite a lot in terms of even how we do our meetings. But you know, I guess we all just here trying to make the best of this situation.
So my question is, because COVID will end one day, life after COVID, are you likely to go back to the business that you were, or is this now your new normal here to stay?
Oh no, I think we'll definitely. They'll still, obviously, assuming that you know, we're able to go back to some type of normal. I'm sure we'll still be in the business that we were in. But I think right now, what's the current reality that we're in is that the solutions that we're developing, I think, moving forward will still be relevant. And so everything that we're doing, and that's one of the things that I've been challenging myself and the team as well, is to also just look at this situation and to think about ideas that have longevity post-COVID, so that we're not just in crisis mode and we're not just doing things to respond to the crisis, but we're also doing things that will be able to provide value beyond COVID. So meaning that, yes, we will still go back to doing event ticketing, but now we will have additional categories that we would have built up because of this crisis. So yeah, definitely post-COVID, my hope is that we would have built these other arms of the business to be able to reach to the level that we had reached in regards to our event ticketing business.
Okay, Eric, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning. Wish you all the best, and please keep safe. Now I'm joined on the line by a hotelier, Joe Warugogo. Good morning.
Morning to you.
Welcome to your world. Tell me what you do.
Oh, how are you?
Very well.
Yeah, I'm a bar owner in a restaurant somewhere in Nakuru. That has been my line of job for the last 2 years or so.
You've only been in the business for 2 years?
Yes.
And things have suddenly changed. Tell me how business has been before COVID came along.
Before COVID, I would say business was quite good. 2020 had started off really well. We're not saying it's become really bad, but things have definitely changed a bit. But pre-COVID, guys had, I think the country was doing well, largely. So we guys in the lifestyle business, that's what I prefer to call it. We had our clients, and once they are doing well out there, definitely you do well as a business.
So you had a healthy share of clientele who came to your business?
Yes, a very healthy share.
Okay.
We're still trying to maintain one way or the other, despite all this.
Now we are where we are. What has been the impact on your business?
Oh, the impact has been quite huge. Firstly, starting from the guys who were employed at the premise. Those are the guys who have been hardest hit, because I had around 15 workers. We've had to scale down the number of workers to 5. So you can imagine the magnitude of losing 10 workers in about a month. Their lives are affected by this COVID in ways that you cannot imagine.
So you lost about 2/3 of your workforce?
Yes, I had to lay down two-thirds of my workforce because there's nothing going on.
And are you still open? Do people still visit your premises?
Yes, the restaurant has been open for takeaway. The first days when the curfew came in, business was still quite good, but as the days have progressed, I think people have less and less money to spend. I think as Steve was talking about lifestyle audit, I think people have had to sit down and reconsider what they do with their money. it has become, you only use your money for essential things. And this era hapa nje, I think it has become now it has been put aside by many people.
Now, the government is now relaxing, things around the restaurants. Suddenly they can reopen. Bars, maybe not yet, but you are now, as I understand it, allowed to sell alcohol. Is this good news for you?
Yeah, it's a big boost for us, and we're very happy about it. Because now, once they open, we can now open the restaurant for guys to come and sit in. It has been impossible. Doing takeaway is a very challenging business because we had to shift again to do deliveries at home, which is another added cost to your business. So they already slow business, actually. So there's opening up the restaurant for guys to come now and sit in and have their meals, and they can have a drink as they have their meal. It's a really positive thing, and we thank the CS for doing it.
Okay, now, Joe, talking about Kenyans who are very innovative and creative and will find ways around any regulations,
yes.
They were coming for takeaways, but now you have seen some even jokes on WhatsApp saying people might come and ask for 20 beers and 1 bag of chips.
Yes. It is actually a live situation on the ground. It might be a joke on WhatsApp, eh?
Yeah.
But yesterday we opened our doors, and guys are quite thirsty out there, I can say that. They have been looking for a place to let off. And I think this has given them a chance to do so.
So,
not many in their numbers.
Yes.
But the few that you do have, you can feel they appreciate this gift.
So you say people have been thirsty. Now, when they came in yesterday, has their drink orders gone up?
Slightly, yes. Drinks, yes. The food, still not yet. The food has still been very slow. I think people still prefer to eat at home rather than come and spend 1,000 shillings on a plate of food. So I think that has been, it's a bit shaky on the food side, but we're hoping the alcohol business can pick up.
Okay, and finally, let me ask you, life after COVID, are you hopeful? Do you think you will still stay in this catering or hotel business?
Definitely, you're going to stay. We are very hopeful after COVID. But, we know it's going to take a while, and what we guys as restaurant owners would be asking for is just a little less of maybe from the government, and maybe they can give us a platform to maybe talk with landlords and stuff like that, and maybe come down on the taxes a bit. The alcohol industry has been overtaxed over the previous 2 or 3 years. The taxes have been going up every time. What we request the government is maybe to look into it and see how they can cushion us for maybe the next 4 to 6 months, which after that, I think by December, things are going to be back to normal in this industry.
Okay, Joe Wargongo joining us from Nakuru. Thank you very much indeed. All the best with your business, and keep safe. Modoni, back to you. Life after COVID, what are your plans?
I'm hoping that there'll be enough money for guys to call me to do over their houses, because that's the fear. Because we also don't know how long this is going to take. So I'm hoping that business will still, continue as usual. And I'm hoping that, even as we lead towards that, maybe I can have a lot more consulting work at the moment, because, I can only do my house for so long because it's only one house. So fingers crossed that things will be able to go back to normal as soon as possible.
But now, making over your house is a bit of a luxury, especially when finances are tight. People may be looking at to make cuts even at their domestic budgets. So are you still hopeful there will be business for you?
Yes, I'm still hopeful, but I know it will probably take a bit of time before people will be in the space to spend money on their homes, but I'm still very hopeful. I'm hoping that people who had initially started planning on it, that they won't have to go over into that budget for survival at this moment. So I just hope things will go back to normal soon, because the sooner that happens, then that means there's at least going to be some money, to work with.
Have you had to make any adjustments in this season yourself, personally, with your business?
Yes, I have. So I've been doing a bit of consulting for people who are capable of doing the work themselves, because there's people who say, I think I can try the painting, just give me some tips here and there. I've also diversified my content in terms of how I post, because initially I used to just mostly share a lot of my work on YouTube, but now I'm also crossing over to sharing more on Instagram, as well as like sharing tips and guiding people who have the time on their hands and the capability to, make over their houses, to be able to do that through what I'm doing as well.
Okay, Modoni, thank you for the moment. Let me come back to Shiv briefly. Now, everybody you speak to, they're all hopeful for a bright future. The problem is the future is very unpredictable, and some people are predicting that actually it's going to be even tougher than now with COVID, because businesses are down and everybody's struggling. What's your reading of it? We may remain faithful or hopeful, but things will be a little bit tight.
Yeah, I look at it. I think we all look at it, especially as Saitan, from a completely different perspective. It's like we mentioned, going to be here with us for the next 12 to 18 to possibly 24 months, just to be able to see the impact. Looking at it from an economic growth perspective, we think the economy is going to come in at 1.6%. People, any ranges anywhere between 2% to 4% to even 0. But it's going to be the knock-on effect as employment starts to get back up slowly, because firms will be extremely slow in terms of making those sort of decisions. Capital expenditure will be slow. So it's important to obviously hope for the best, but you plan for a worst case. So it's, as we're taking lifestyle audits ourselves, what are our businesses doing? Are we able to renegotiate loans? Banks have actually been really, really great in terms of having discussions with that. Look, my business has been affected in X, Y, Z ways. This is how I need to renegotiate my loan payment. Talking to your creditors, stock management, looking at your debtors list, who owes you money? Can you get into payment plans? Stop. Everyone's in the same situation, so a lot of it is the grief first. Oh my God, my life is shattered. And then following that, it's the realization that, well, I'm the only one who can do something about it. So how do I now adapt to this sort of environment? Obviously easier said than done, but the quicker we adapt, the quicker we make plans for the next 1 to 2 years in terms of buckling down, the easier it will be. It's not that it's going to be easy, but the easier it will be. Okay,
now, Brian, over in Malawi, you've told us how well you have been able to negotiate your way through this. Have there been challenges along the way as a result of COVID-19?
Yes, I think one of the areas in which we've really been hit hardest as a result of the COVID-19 is with regards to the issue of equipment. So all the equipment that we use, we're a wireless network, wireless internet service provider. So all the equipment that we use comes from overseas. Our main supplier is one of the largest distributors in Europe, and they're based in Lithuania. In the past, from the moment that they confirm funds in their account, we would have our order at the airport here within 3 days. The last order that we placed took 25 days to get into our hands. It spent about 5 days in Germany before it was able to get a flight to South Africa. It then spent about 15 days in South Africa before it was able to find its way to Malawi, which is only 2 hours flight away from South Africa. So this is something that has just sort of made us really begin to scratch our heads. We're looking at, okay, what other alternative supply lines can we look at? Do we have distributors who have inventory closer to home? I've been talking to one of the largest distributors in Kenya. They say they have a warehouse in Dubai. I think cargo flights between Dubai and Kenya are a little bit more frequent. The question now would be, okay, what are the flights frequencies between Malawi and Kenya? So we're really trying to sort of look at alternative ways of being able to address these challenges. I think the other thing that we're looking at is actually doing a complete technology forklift. Our current technology is based on line of sight. It involves going indoors to do an installation. We want to change the network so that we can be able to have no need for an installation. The equipment that we give, we can literally just give it to the customer and they'll plug it in and it will work. So at the moment, I'm doing a fundraise for that because it's the only way to go, given the fact, your other guest has said, 18 to 24 months of this, it's gonna hit us hard, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Brian in Malawi. Stay with us. We're going to go for a short break now. We'll be right back.
Basic protective measures as guided by the World Health Organization. Clean hands frequently with soap and clean water. Cover nose and mouth when coughing and sneezing with a tissue or flexed elbow. Avoid close contact 1 meter or 3 feet with anyone with cold or flu-like symptoms. If you have fever, cough and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early. Avoid raw or uncooked animal products. Help the world put an end to the spread of respiratory diseases by sharing this message with a friend. Message brought to you by Sour Herbal Family Bath Soap.
Kenya's economy has been resilient, growing at an average of 5.7% over the last 5 years. Before the outbreak of COVID-19, its macroeconomic fundamentals were also quite solid. Low inflation, sufficient foreign exchange reserves, and a commitment to contain growth of debt. Like in every other part of the world, COVID-19 presents an unusual litmus test for this resilience.
We have identified needy households in Nairobi that will be the inaugural recipients of the weekly COVID-19 support stipend.
From a raft of cash transfers to vulnerable households, efforts of easing consumers' access to credit, state and non-state actors are already pulling levers to steady the economy to cushion Kenyans and businesses from the adverse effects of COVID-19. World Bank's Kenya Economic Update Edition 21 explores the impact of COVID-19 on Kenya's economic growth and outlines policy options, including caring for those infected and containing the spread of the virus, and measures to protect the most vulnerable households to cope with the crisis. World Bank Kenya Economic Update, exclusively on NTV.
Many countries around the world have announced the reopening of their businesses. In Kenya, the health CS has outlined the guidelines restaurants need to follow before they can reopen their doors. Well, here's one way to do it. Plastic partitions have been installed in bars and restaurants to avoid the spread of the virus. One cafe in Madrid has installed such partitions and is up and ready for customers, even as Spain eases its restrictions. The owner, Manuel Gil, says he's rushing to make the necessary changes in order to save his business, which has been closed for over a month. He says it cost about 100 to 120 euros to install the partitions. Other countries that have such sitting arrangements include China, Korea, and Japan. This here could be the new normal. If you've watched the Netflix series Money Heist, then this will make you smile. Romans wave Italian flags and sing along to Bella Ciao and their national anthem to celebrate Liberation Day. The national Italian holiday commemorates the end of Nazi occupation during the World War II and the victory of the resistance in Italy. Yes, and as we continue to look at what the other world is up to, with Belgians preparing to make it compulsory to wear masks, they decided to try it on statues. The mannequin piece Brussels' famous statue has been fitted with a protective mask as the country Belgium prepares to enforce a directive on wearing a protective mask on public transport from the 4th of May. Apologies for children watching at this time. Israelis stop and stand outside their vehicles on a highway in Tel Aviv, observing 2 minutes of silence as sirens wail across the country. They are marking Remembrance Day, commemorating soldiers who died in service and civilians killed in militant attacks. Now, this one is for the children, the classic children's series. Thomas the Tank Engine celebrates its 75th anniversary with the help of Prince Harry and actress Rosamund Pike. Prince Harry introduces the special broadcast and Rosamund Pike lends her voice to one of the characters in the episode, which will air on May the 1st on Netflix in the US.
Loughborough. Bye, everyone! See you! Bye-bye!
It all began when a young boy lay ill in bed. His loving father entertained him with stories of a special railway on the magical island of Sodor. Those stories would go on to become the tales of the most iconic tank engine the world has ever known, Thomas the Tank Engine.
Duchess has a very, very important job in that she transports the royal family, which is obviously a very exciting job but comes with great responsibility, and you don't really want anything to go wrong when you have such very important passengers. I know our royal family does like to travel by train, so I think it's very apt that they feature in this episode.
Okay, Abraham, it's good to have you back. I hope your line can hold up as we share our last few minutes. Now, I want to ask you, you spent a lot of your time doing credit management, and people are in a fix at the moment. There are people with loans, there are people with mortgages. What's your advice at the moment in terms of managing those huge debts, personal debts, family debts that people have?
Yeah, if you recall, the regulator has already given direction to what should happen, and they basically told the banks to renegotiate the terms for the loan. So what people need to do is to go to their banks and be very open about the situation and try and get holidays, anything between 3 and 6 months, both for their capital and interest repayment, because that will basically give them a leeway, at least to get a break. And not just that, they should also go to their creditors. I mean, your landlord, and if you're in a business, your suppliers, where you work out a repayment plan. Because in this intervening period, cash is king. So the more cash you have, the longer you survive this. Because right now, because of there's so many unknowns, you just want to have enough money to survive this. Because once you survive it, then you know the future. But as we speak, you need to ensure that you pay as little as possible. and bank being a big chunk, and given that the regulator has already given direction, then we just need to ride on that goodwill, sit with your bankers, show them your position, to try and get that holiday, because Standard Chartered have already given a 3-month holiday. So other banks, I'm sure, will join. So it's just a matter of going to your bank and discussing those things as openly as possible.
Now, the other issue is, whereas banks may be understanding, the creditors that people are really afraid of are the landlords. They too have got loans. We've seen some of them who are not very sympathetic. What's your advice in terms of landlords with debts and they want to harass the tenants, or to, they need their money?
Yeah, it is a catch-22 position, because they're harassing you because they're being harassed. So they should also go and get a holiday. But the flip side of that is that even if you evict your tenant, which is this tenant you're going to get is coming to pay you? So I think this is a time to show goodwill and believe that, you know what, if first of all, let's say you're paying 40,000 for your space, you can negotiate it down. You can tell your tenant, your landlord, you know what, I'll pay you half of it now, and then eventually when things get better, I will catch up with my payment. Because as I said, it's just about how you can manage the little cash flow that is coming in to spread towards all your suppliers. Everybody gets a little something so that they can also pay whoever they owe.
Shiv, the same question to you in terms of people's personal financial management in this critical time where cash is really limited. What are your tips or words of advice at a personal level?
So definitely just to look at what is your most pressing expenditure, which is possibly going to be your rent, your food, and keeping the lights on, and definitely your internet in your house. Other than that, anything else you should start to consider is sort of ancillary expenditure. I completely agree with what Abraham was saying. Go and have a negotiation with your creditors, with your debtors, with your bank. Banks, like we mentioned before, have been extremely understanding in terms of renegotiating loans. Those creditors who you owe money, they're in the same situation you're in. So everyone's in this situation together. So once you have a discussion that, look, I can't give you the entire amount now, I'm going to slowly pay you, but this is how I'll clear you, and I'll keep you updated depending on how the situation pans out. Debtors that owe you money, get into the same sort of discussion with them. So it's more around just having a discussion and really making difficult choices. It's time to buckle down, but once everything returns to normal, you can go and enjoy the extravagancies that you used to have before.
Indeed. Now, Brian, in Malawi, you're not a banker yourself, but I'll ask you a relevant question. As an entrepreneur, what would be your words of advice for people who are maybe facing some of the challenges that you are faced with? What lessons have you learned that you might perhaps be able to share with others who are watching and whose businesses are either struggling or they're hoping for a windfall?
Yeah, I think flexibility is key, the ability to adapt and, pivot, literally, change and start doing something different, something new is quite key. We heard from the guy in Uganda about how companies that were previously manufacturing alcohol are now producing sanitizer, right? We've already read about auto manufacturing firms that are now producing ventilators. So I think it's being able to see the opportunities and adapt towards them. There are some innovations which 6 months ago were just foolish. I was reading the other day about a company that has designed a helmet that is able to scan the temperatures of people from a distance. And this company is selling thousands and thousands and thousands of these helmets to police in the United Arab Emirates. Who would have thought? So it's all about, I think, adapting to the new normal and being able to be, flexible.
Now, just remind us, in Malawi, what's the situation in terms of government guidelines? Are people wearing masks? Are you on a lockdown? What's the situation for Malawians?
Yeah, so about a month and a half ago, the president came out and declared something called a state of disaster. And as a result, ordered that schools should be closed. And gradually, over the past few weeks, there's been a tightening of different measures. So bars have been closed, nightclubs have been closed, in some cities, places that sell alcohol have been told to close because people have been going and drinking and then sort of forgetting about social distancing guidelines. A lockdown was ordered by the president 2 weeks ago, but it was then challenged in court by human rights organizations and has been injuncted and put on hold, with the main argument being that this country is so poor, so many people literally live day to day, hand to mouth. A lockdown would basically mean that they would starve to death and probably more people would die from that than from the disease. So a call was made that, measures that are more relevant and fit this economy should be considered before just sort of adopting a copy and paste approach.
Okay, Abraham, back to you. There are many people who have had to endure a pay cut, a loss of earnings, some by 30%, 40%, and some as high as 70%. What's your advice for someone who has seen their monthly income shrink to something really small?
I think at a personal level, you'd have to look at your budget, because if at all you're losing anything 40% and above of your income, it means you have to relook at everything, including where you live, because those are fixed costs that will come either way. So you may want to scale down your operations in terms of your rent, in terms of probably your school. But now, again, it also depends on what time horizon you're giving the COVID to be. But I think as one of the panelists had said, I think it's best to prepare for the worst, but assume that this thing will take a long-term view. So it may be good to move to a place that is cheaper, so that at least you have more money to do other things that are more essential. Because if you've taken a 40% pay cut and you have not, and you're still living in the same house you're living in, it will mean most of your money will just go to rent. Then you'll struggle for the rest. So you'll have to scale down all your operations and just weather this out. Because the keyword here is survive through COVID. That's it.
Okay, and Abraham, just in terms of looking forward to life after COVID, what lessons are we learning for the future?
First, and you've said it many times, I think we are looking forward to going back to normal. I think very few things will go back to the normal we were used to. That's number one. Number two, it has taught us that there are many things that we are doing that we necessarily did not need to do. But more importantly, it has taught us new ways of life. It's to put simply, I think it's a disruption, a total disruption to the way we've been doing business, the way we've been perceiving things. Because, and I would equate it when we moved from the normal film to the digital photographs, a complete shift. So whoever will continue hanging to the old films will not survive. So, and as a business going forward, what you want to focus on is how will your new client look like? Because the client pre-COVID is not going to be the client post-COVID. Yeah. If you look at just the restaurant business, the client who's coming in will demand so much in terms of sanitation, in terms of space, in terms of price of the food. So all those put together, you really have to focus. You have to, your model must change around your new client, because this client is coming.
Abraham, thank you. Modoni, same question to you. Your final thoughts and what lessons we perhaps learned for life after COVID?
Measures that people take now. I think it's important to just continue doing that. And even now, like, just try to stay active in whatever format you can. Be it with your kids, be it just, with your spouse. I think it's very important to stay active in this moment. And I say just stay hopeful. Post-COVID, I'm really hoping that things will go back to normal. But as everyone has said, the new normal, it's probably something we'll have to carry on with us. Because if this stays on for so long, we'll have to carry the things we've learned and the lessons that we've learned and apply those in our new lives.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Modoni. Brian, your final thoughts in a few seconds. What lessons for the future?
Yeah, I think it's all been said. We really need to think about how we can weather the storm before things come back to the old normal. If they ever do, we need to figure out survival mechanisms, that will get us through this interim period. Everything has changed completely.
Okay, and I can see someone trying to reach you this early. Thank you so much, Brian. Shiv, your closing remarks briefly?
Really just a focus on survival and seeing how businesses will adapt, definitely come out more efficient, more lean.
Resilient?
Yeah, resilient. You're going to see smarter decisions being made from a risk-return perspective, which is obviously beneficial for sustainable businesses and also for us as individuals, really just going to be making smarter decisions going forward.
Okay. Thank you. Now, I've been looking through some of the videos you've been sending us about your new normal. We met a young girl going through homeschooling, seeing her mother as a teacher and her home as a school is a strange new normal.
No, now we're in class, Zanetta. Sit down.
Not in class. This is a home.
Sit here. Sit down. This is number. Say number 1. Number 2.
Mom, you're not in school.
But I'm teaching you.
You are not in school.
Okay.
We are not in 2019, we're in 2020. The world's just been turned upside down. And we want to hear more from you. Send us more of your videos from home. And also your comments, questions, suggestions. Our hashtag is new normal. You can also reach us on our WhatsApp line and our telephone numbers. Now, did you know that 58% of managers didn't receive any management training? Most managers in the workforce are promoted because they were good at what they do. We have many leaders who are not trained on how to lead. Did you know that people still fall in love at work? A study suggests that men and women are almost equal when it comes to finding love in the workplace. Women find love a little more frequently than men. However, 52% of people in the workplaces reported finding love at work compared to only 48%. And did you know that recognition is the #1 thing employees say their manager could give them so as to inspire them to produce great work? When it comes to inspiring people to be best at their work, nothing else comes close, not even higher pay, promotion, autonomy, or training. Did you know 89% of bosses believe employees quit because they want more money? As much as any boss would love this statistic to be true, it's simply not true. Only 12% of employees actually leave an organization for more money. Now that bit about falling in love at the workplace, now you're all at home. What's going on? Who do you fall in with? Well, with your wife many times over, or with your hubby, or with your partner. Well, that's it. We'll be back tomorrow. And just before I sign off completely, there's some comments which I've just sneaked through. Let me have a look at them. The first one is from, yes, you haven't given us your name, but you say given 3 months unpaid leave, it's terrible. Those are the impact on business and your world of work. Another comment here from Benito Babayao. Quarantine day 28. Dad is calling me bro now. Okay. Getting all fancy and buddy. Thank you. Another one here from Stivo Moturi. The crisis has affected all the sectors. In my sector, including boutique, I'm not able to get new goods due to limitation of travel. Yes, that's quite a common complaint. Thank you, Stivo. Another one here from Thika's Finest. In our company, you're paid only the time you are there at work. So I'm now working very little hours. So my salary has dropped by more than half. Okay, to make you feel. And another one here is Jacob. Many employees are on unpaid leave. Government requires testing at 10,000 shillings per person. That's COVID tests. Going back to work in a restaurant, being paid 15,000 per month is a tall order here. Employers have closed businesses. They have no cash. Well-wishers have contributed money to counter COVID-19. It's all sad. But hey, we're here, back tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. Tize Nyumbani is our workout session with professional trainers who are all geared up to help you use the props and the space you have in your house to get you really fit for this COVID-19 season. So I want to thank Shiv, who's with me in studio, Abraham, Brian from Malawi, Modoni, who's also in our newsroom studio, and earlier we were joined by Eric and our economist from Ramadan from Makerere University. Thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow 6:30, and then this show is on at 7 a.m. On behalf of the NTV crew here, stay safe. Good morning.